Good morning and welcome to Planet in the Word. And this is week 11. And this week you're going to read passages from Deuteronomy. And these passages are going to talk about God preparing the Israelites to enter the promised land. And as he's going through what his expectations are and what his provisions will be, I want to focus in just a little bit on Deuteronomy 8:7, because I think, like most of Scripture, there is the overt, easy to understand meaning of what God's saying. But I think also if we look behind the scenes in the Hebrew a little bit, we're going to get an expanded picture of what God is saying to the Israelites he's going to provide for them. So he's talking about providing the Israelites when they enter into the promised land, they will have water, is what he's basically saying. But he says it that they're going to have brooks, they're going to have fountains, and they're going to have springs. And depending upon your version, those may be listed in a different order. Our translators aren't always super consistent about how they translate each of those Hebrew words, but basically it divides water up into those three separate categories. So let me read the verse for you, and then I'm just going to offer you a little nugget of maybe some deeper understanding of where God is headed in those words that he's saying in Hebrew. So this is Deuteronomy 8:7, and it states, "For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains, and springs in the valleys and in the mountains." So we have brooks, we have fountains, and we have streams. And each one of those are very different. So in the Hebrew, that brooks word essentially means a wadi. Now, if you don't know what a wadi is, I happen to live in the desert, so I fully understand this term. But a wadi is a seasonal water supply that is only used at certain times of the year. In the desert, when you have a rainy season, the wadi will run and then it's dry the other 10, 11 months of the year. So this is a seasonal water supply. In addition, he uses the word fountains. Now, in the Hebrew, that fountains is ayin. And actually, in this place, it's ayanim, which is literally translated eyes. So these fountains are the eyes of the earth. These are places where water comes up from underground at the surface. And this is what we would translate in English, probably a spring, water coming up from the underground, and it is going to water the surface of the ground, and it is considered the eyes of the earth. So I will give you wadis in the seasons. I will give you springs that come up out of the ground. And the third one is, in my Bible translated springs, is actually the Hebrew word tahom. Now, Tahom actually means the deep abyss. In fact, this is the word in Genesis 1:2, where it says that the Spirit was hovering over the surface of the deep. That is the word Tahom. What this means is water that comes from deep in the ground, the depths of the ground. It has this understanding of unending supply, if you will. So if we look at that through eyes that maybe are a little bit deeper than just in English, what the Lord is saying is, I'm going to provide for you seasonally. The second one is this ayanim. I'm going to provide for you easily. This water is going to come bubbling up out of the ground. It's going to be easy for you to access. It's the eye of the earth. An ancient Hebrew would have understood that this is a place where they could be seen by God. So I'm going to provide for you easily while I watch over you. And I'm also going to provide for you from the depths of the earth. My provision is going to be deep and great. And what am I going to provide for you? I'm going to provide for you water. Now, what's interesting about water, it's the word mayim or mim, and it is this simple word. It literally does mean water, but it means liquid. So it's actually sort of like a life-giving liquid. So water is a life-giving liquid, but sometimes when the scripture talks about mayim, it actually can be referring to, say, blood that flows like a life-giving liquid, amniotic fluid, semen, that concept that this life-giving fluid is going to flow like a liquid, like water. So water can mean water, but you can also see this expanded idea of anything that we would also understand liquid to have the connotation, the dual meaning of water, but it can also be broader than that. These are all things that bring forth seed, right? These are fruitful things. If they are life-giving, water's life-giving, but so are the other life-giving fluids. So he's saying you're going to have this life-giving provision for you in all these areas, as well as in the life that you are going to live as you follow in relationship with me in this new land I'm giving to you at this time. And the last thing he says is you're going to have this provision for you in the mountains and in the valleys. And we also understand the duality of understanding that these are in the good times and in the bad, and in the hard times and in the easy. You are going to have this provision that I am going to give to you, sometimes seasonally, sometimes easily, and sometimes you're going to need it from the very depths of the earth, and I can provide for you that way also. So there's a little bit broader meaning of what's going on in these verses. Just, hey, you're going to walk into this land. There's going to be water there for you. You're going to find the water in the valleys and the mountains. I hope that this helps you to understand that there is a richer meaning in Scripture sometimes than just lies on what the surface of what we read. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great week. Bye-bye.